Gentlemen, let me say this as clearly and calmly as I can. If a woman can't give you these 5 things, she's not a partner, she's a liability. And if you're a man of value, you don't have time for liabilities. You are building something, a mission, a legacy, an empire, and the woman by your side either helps you build it, or becomes the wrecking ball that destroys it. Let's get into the 5 things and one final truth that every you man must demand from a woman. If a woman doesn't respect you, everything she offers becomes meaningless. Respect is not just about her calling you sir, or letting you lead every conversation. It's something far deeper. It's about how she sees you, how she speaks to you when no one is watching, and how she carries your name in your absence. A woman who respects you doesn't belittle you during arguments. She doesn't use your vulnerabilities as ammunition. She doesn't talk down to you, even when she's upset, because respect is not something she gives only when she's in a good mood. It's consistent, it's steady. It's the invisible thread that binds trust and loyalty together. Without respect, love becomes manipulative. Without respect, intimacy becomes a transaction. Without respect, support becomes conditional. You'll find yourself constantly having to prove your worth, constantly defending your decisions, constantly walking on eggshells to keep the peace. That's not leadership, that's slavery to her emotions. A woman who truly respects you understands the weight of your responsibility. She may challenge your thinking, but she does so without trying to humiliate you. She may not agree with every move you make, but she still stands behind you because she believes in the man making the moves. She respects your time. She doesn't waste it with emotional games. She respects your space. She doesn't suffocate your purpose. She respects your energy. She doesn't drain it with drama and insecurity. And she respects your values even if they're different from hers. She doesn't try to bend you into something you're not. A woman who respects you will never make you feel small just to feel bigger herself. She won't compare you to other men in a way that undermines your masculinity. She won't test you to see how much pain you'll tolerate before you break. Because respect isn't about control, it's about honor. She honors who you are, what you've been through, and what you're building. If she can't offer you that, then it doesn't matter how attractive she is, how affectionate she can be, or how often she says, "I love you." Without respect, she's not a partner. She's a threat. A woman should bring peace into your life, not turn it into a battlefield. As a man, your life is already filled with pressure, the weight of responsibility, the demands of your work, the silent burden of having to be strong even when you're crumbling inside. The world tests you daily. Every step forward is a fight, and when you come home, the one place that should recharge you, the last thing you need, is another war zone. A woman who brings peace understands this on a deep level. She knows that her presence, her tone, her energy all play a role in either healing you or harming you. Peace doesn't mean she's quiet all the time. It means she doesn't weaponize her emotions to dominate every interaction. It means she knows how to express herself without turning disagreements into personal attacks. It means she knows how to listen without interrupting, how to support without smothering, how to speak without cutting deep. She doesn't create chaos just to feel something. She doesn't stir drama because she's bored. She doesn't use your love as leverage to control your behavior. Her peace is not passive, it's intentional. It's a choice to create a space where both of you can grow without stepping on each other's necks. When a woman brings peace, you feel it in your body, you breathe easier around her. You don't have to explain everything. You don't feel judged for your ambition or your silence. She doesn't take your calmness as a sign of weakness. She understands the intensity of your mind and doesn't take it personally when you withdraw to think, to solve, to rebuild. Her peace is a safe place, not a trap, and because of that, you can be your full self around her, without performing, without pretending, without editing your soul. But when a woman brings chaos, you begin to rot from the inside. You hesitate before going home. You feel more exhausted in her presence than you do at work. You're constantly clarifying, constantly defending, constantly apologizing for things that aren't even wrong. You start to lose your edge because you're using your mental energy to survive her instead of succeed in life. That's not love, that's slow spiritual death. And some men stay in that hell because the sex is good or the history is long. But peace is more valuable than any moment of pleasure. A woman who brings peace becomes your secret weapon in life. She's the calm in your storm. And a man with peace at home is a man who can conquer anything outside it. Loyalty is not just about fidelity. It's about unwavering emotional and spiritual allegiance to the man you are and the man you are becoming. Too many women today confuse loyalty with convenience. They're loyal when you're on top, when you're winning, when everything looks good on the surface. But the moment you fall behind, the moment you stumble, the moment the road gets rough, they start to drift. They start to detach. They start acting like they're not sure you're still the one. That's not loyalty. That's opportunism dressed in emotional language. And if a woman can't remain loyal to you during your worst, she doesn't deserve to be beside you at your best. Loyalty means she doesn't entertain other options while pretending to be committed to you. It means she doesn't keep backup male friends or conveniently stay in contact with exes just in case. A loyal woman shuts all that down, not because you told her to, but because she values the bond you've built. She sees herself as an extension of your mission, your energy, your integrity. She protects your image in public. She doesn't gossip about your flaws to others, and she doesn't use your setbacks as ammunition in private fights. Her loyalty means she stands in the fire with you, not behind you, not watching you, but asterisk with asterisk you. She's not in your life to test how far she can push you before you break. She's in your life to remind you of who you are when you forget. She doesn't lose faith in your potential when times are tough. She doesn't start treating you differently when life punches you in the mouth. She doesn't bring up your past mistakes to gain the upper hand in an argument. And when others doubt you, friends, family, even the world, her belief in you doesn't shake. That's the kind of loyalty that builds empires. That's the kind of loyalty that fuels a man's discipline, that makes him work harder, aim higher, and stand taller. Loyalty also means consistency. A woman who is only loyal when things are easy isn't loyal. She's just comfortable. But a woman who is loyal when you're tired, when you're distant, when you're distracted, when you're rebuilding asterisk, that asterisk is rare. And she becomes your anchor, because as a man, there will be days you question yourself. There will be seasons when nothing seems to work, when your plans collapse, when you feel like a fraud. In those moments, a loyal woman isn't asking if you're still worth it. She's reminding you that you are. But a disloyal woman, she will ruin you. She'll act like your absence in one moment justifies her betrayal in the next. She'll twist your moments of vulnerability into accusations. She'll justify her infidelity or disrespect by claiming you weren't giving her enough. And suddenly, your struggle becomes her excuse to destroy everything you were trying to protect. That kind of woman isn't just disloyal, she's dangerous. A loyal woman doesn't need to be convinced of your value every day. She sees it even when you don't. She doesn't compete with your ambition, she complements it. She doesn't flirt with your enemies, she shields you from them. And she doesn't just love who you are now. She believes in who you're becoming. That's loyalty, and without it, everything else in the relationship becomes a performance, temporary, hollow, one-sided. We live in a world where many women are being told that femininity is weakness, and that to be powerful, they must act like men. Compete like men, think like men, hustle like men, but what a how you man needs is not a replica of himself. He doesn't need another soldier in the trenches. He needs balance. He needs polarity. He needs a woman who fully embraces her femininity, not because she's incapable of being strong, but because her strength lies in her softness, in her calm, in her essence. When a woman refuses to embrace her feminine nature, she becomes hard, combative, cold, and emotionally unavailable. And suddenly, instead of a supportive partner, you're stuck with someone who sees you as a rival. Femininity is not about submission in the weak sense of the word. It's about emotional intelligence. It's about softness that melts your guard. It's about warmth that makes the world seem less harsh. A feminine woman doesn't compete with your leadership. She complements it. She doesn't try to dominate you in every conversation or decision. She doesn't carry an attitude of "I don't need a man," while still expecting you to do everything for her. She knows her value without trying to be you. Her energy is magnetic, healing and nurturing, not forceful and aggressive. And when she leans into that softness, you don't feel threatened. You feel grounded. You see, a woman in her true feminine energy becomes a space of refuge for a man, not because you're weak, but because even warriors need rest. Even kings need silence and softness when the world has been loud and hard all day. A feminine woman provides that without even trying. Her presence alone brings a different kind of power into your life. She isn't trying to control you. She trusts you. She isn't trying to constantly test your dominance. She respects it. She isn't insecure about her role in the relationship, because she knows being feminine is not lesser, it's essential. The moment a woman starts acting like a man in the relationship, cold, dominant, always trying to win, you will feel it. The connection will feel like a never-ending arm wrestling match. There will be no flow, only friction. No trust, only tension. No surrender, only struggle, and it drains a man of his natural role. You find yourself either shrinking to keep the peace or fighting just to maintain polarity. Either way, your masculinity is under siege. But a woman who embraces her femininity does the opposite. She breathes life into you. She doesn't shout to be heard. She whispers, and you're drawn to listen. She doesn't overpower you. She influences you in subtle ways that make you feel more alive. She doesn't need to prove her strength by mimicking male traits, because she knows her emotional depth, intuition, and softness are already a power you can't replicate. A woman in her feminine energy becomes a force of nature, not because she's trying to be one, but because she simply is. And if she can't bring that energy, if she's always confrontational, always trying to lead without balance, always rejecting her natural softness, then she becomes a source of conflict, not connection, because for the masculine to be its full self, the feminine must be present, not hidden, not replaced, not muted, but fully expressed. Emotional maturity is one of the most overlooked qualities in modern relationships, yet it is one of the most crucial. Without it, everything falls apart, communication becomes war, love becomes leverage, and problems never get solved, only recycled. Emotional maturity is what separates a you woman from a girl trapped in a grown woman's body. It is the difference between a woman who builds with you and one who breaks you down with games, drama, and psychological warfare. And if a woman lacks emotional maturity, no matter how beautiful she is or how good she makes you feel in the moment, she will eventually drain you mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. An emotionally immature woman sees every disagreement as a personal attack. She can't handle being told no without reacting like a wounded child. She needs constant validation to feel secure and uses manipulation tactics, silent treatments, passive aggressiveness, emotional blackmail to control the dynamic. If you're not texting her constantly, she assumes you're cheating. If you're quiet, she assumes you're angry. If you assert a boundary, she accuses you of being controlling. You find yourself explaining basic realities over and over again to someone who refuses to grow up emotionally. That is not love. That is emotional babysitting. A mature woman, on the other hand, doesn't need to be coddled. She understands her emotions without letting them rule her actions. She doesn't bring up old wounds in every argument. She doesn't twist your words to fit her insecurities. And she doesn't require you to walk on eggshells just to keep the peace. She communicates clearly, even when she's upset. She knows how to hold space for your emotions without making everything about her. She doesn't take your need for solitude as rejection, and she doesn't view your ambition as a threat. She's emotionally stable enough to support you without needing to control you. Emotional maturity also means she doesn't run away when things get tough. She doesn't play the "I need space" game every time the relationship hits a bump. She knows the difference between reacting and responding. She knows how to sit in discomfort without creating more chaos. She doesn't use your vulnerabilities against you during fights, nor does she try to hurt you just to prove a point. A woman with emotional maturity will challenge you, yes, but never in a way that makes you feel small, less than, or disrespected. She holds herself accountable, she reflects, she grows. An emotionally immature woman will confuse chaos with passion. She'll tell you that fighting and make-up sex is normal. She'll make you feel guilty for focusing on your goals. She'll compare you to her exes, criticize you when you're down, and only uplift you when it benefits her. She needs you to hurt so she can feel powerful. And worst of all, she believes that her feelings are always facts, that because she feels something, it must be true, and you must pay the price for it. This creates a dynamic where you're constantly managing her emotions instead of leading your own life. It's draining, it's exhausting, and it's dangerous. A woman with emotional maturity, on the other hand, becomes a sanctuary, not because she's emotionless, but because she controls her emotional world instead of dumping it all on you. She doesn't ask you to fix her. She doesn't demand constant reassurance for her unhealed wounds. She works on herself. She values clarity over chaos, resolution over retaliation. And in a world full of emotionally volatile relationships, her stability becomes one of the most attractive things a man can experience. Because for a masculine man who is already carrying the weight of the world, being with a woman who can carry the weight of her own emotions is not just rare, it's essential. A woman must align with your purpose, not compete with it, distract you from it, or resent it. As a man, your purpose is your compass. It defines you, it drives you, it keeps you grounded when the world becomes chaotic. A man without purpose is directionless, and any woman who doesn't understand the sacred weight of a man's mission is not prepared to walk beside him. The right woman will respect your path, not pull you away from it. She will encourage your late nights, not guilt, trip you for them. She will understand your focus, your discipline, your obsession with excellence, because she sees herself as part of the empire you are building, not a barrier in the way. When a woman is not aligned with your purpose, everything becomes a tug-of war. Your ambition is seen as neglect. Your discipline is misinterpreted as coldness. Your boundaries are labeled as selfish. She begins to make you feel guilty for choosing growth over comfort, legacy over leisure. And slowly, almost silently, you start compromising. Not because you want to, but because the emotional friction becomes constant. You start shrinking your goals to keep her happy. You start saying maybe later to things that used to keep your soul on fire. And before you know it, the life you were building turns into a life you're tolerating. A woman who truly aligns with your purpose will not only support your mission, she will strengthen it. She won't distract you from your goals with petty arguments, endless emotional demands, or ultimatums that force you to choose between love and legacy. She will give you space to build and the emotional clarity to think. She won't resent your ambition, she will take pride in it. She won't get jealous of your time in the gym, your hours at work, your moments of solitude, because she knows it's all part of the process that turns a man into something more than average. She knows that greatness demands sacrifice, and she's not intimidated by that truth. This kind of woman doesn't need to be the center of your universe to feel loved. She's content being the foundation beneath it. She finds joy in seeing you rise. She doesn't compete with your purpose. She finds her place within it. She understands that being with a man on a mission requires patience, maturity, and trust. She doesn't need you to explain every step because she believes in the direction you're heading. Her loyalty is not rooted in how much time you spend with her, but in how deeply she's connected to your vision. She feels seen not just in your words, but in the future you're building together. But a woman who lacks alignment with your purpose will slowly become a storm in your sky. She'll demand more time, more energy, more validation, always pulling you away from the mission and deeper into emotional dependency. She may not say it directly, but her actions will reveal the truth. She wants you focused on her, not your legacy. She doesn't see your purpose as a sacred duty. She sees it as competition. And no matter how much you give, it will never be enough, because her fulfillment doesn't come from seeing you win. It comes from feeling in control. And control and purpose cannot coexist. That's why a man must be ruthless in choosing a woman who aligns with his purpose, because without that alignment, love becomes a distraction. It turns into a detour that pulls you off your path. And while she may feel satisfied for a time, you will feel hollow, because deep down every man knows when he's betraying his purpose, and no relationship is worth the price of your soul's mission. A woman who aligns with your purpose becomes a multiplier. She magnifies your strengths, she sharpens your focus, she makes the hard days easier and the victories more meaningful, not by being loud, not by demanding the spotlight, but simply by walking beside you, not in front of you, not behind you, but beside you as you build something that lasts beyond both of you. So understand this. Being a man of value is not just about what you achieve, but about what you allow into your life. The women you choose to let close to you will either elevate your energy or erode your essence. This is not about hate. This is not about bitterness. This is about clarity, because as a man walking a focused path, you don't have time to invest in someone who can't meet you with equal depth, strength, and purpose. You were not born to chase validation. You were not put on this earth to settle for emotional chaos, half-hearted loyalty, or shallow connections. You were built to conquer your mission, to create something greater than yourself, and to do it with a woman who understands the magnitude of what you're building, a woman who respects you, a woman who brings peace, a woman who is loyal, a woman in her feminine, a woman who is emotionally mature, and a woman who aligns, not distracts, from your purpose. If she can't give you these things, she's not useless as a human being, but she is useless to you as a man on a mission. Choose wisely because your future depends on it.